I want today to tell you just a little bit of how wonderful God is. If you look at my hair, you can see I'm pretty grey. But you know, there's texts in the Bible, even about grey hairs. I'd like to read you one. Even to your old age and grey hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. And you know, from when I was a little tiny girl and came to know the Lord in a Tom Rees tent meeting until today, I can assure you that Lord Jesus Christ has been all those things to me. He has sustained me, He has carried me, He has rescued me, because all those things have happened, because life isn't just a playground all the time. It's not always happiness, but there's always security and knowing that God is always with you and will never ever leave you or forsake you, whatever the situation. Now, I believe that includes today and tomorrow, and although I'm going to tell you a few things about what's happened in yesterday, it really and truly, God says, yes, we want to remember those because it helps us to trust Him for the future. But at the same time, He also says, don't keep looking back, look forward. I know what plans I have for you. And therefore, though I'm looking back, it's because I want to look forward, knowing that His presence is with me. I came to know Jesus in a tent meeting, as I said, under the Tom Rees. And at that point, I knew that Jesus loved me, died for me, and I asked Him into my heart. And I was given a tract. Now, this tract I put in the drawer, having read it, and it was all about the end of the world. About 14, I would say, I got a bit anxious. You know, there was all this talk about bombs and atomic bombs and things like this, and it was a bit scary. And I got frightened. And my mum said to me, you say you love Jesus, then why are you fearful? And I used to go to bed at night and I used to say, what time I'm afraid I will trust in you. What time I'm afraid I will trust in you. And then one day I looked in the drawer and there was this tract. You see, God had looked forward. He knew when I was going to feel fearful, and He put the tract there for me. And it really and truly calmed me down. And I knew that He was with me. I was also fortunate because I went to a little old wooden church, and they were so full of the Lord and so full of faith, they decided to build a new church. And somebody gave £100, and never once were they in debt. Whenever they needed something turned up. There was Langs, the builders, they're Christians, and they gave the electricity bits for it. And the church was just built through faith, and that helped me to know God is always there for you. And then for prayer side, when I was really little, Joey, my canary, well, there were two of them, they flew in the wartime when the Avery was bombed, and the man said we could keep them. And a cat came along, Mum had the windows open, and pulled out the whole of the wing of the bird. And my dad said, I'm sorry, Christina, but I'm afraid that the bird will die because it's lost too much blood. You know, it can't do it. And anyway, it's lost all its wing. And I prayed. And you know, God hears a little child's prayer. And that bird, not only did it live, but it outlived the other bird. And Mum put props in. He could never fly again, but he outlived the other bird. And he was with us for many years. And that helped a little child to know God answers prayer. And he really has all through my life, always before applying for a job or anything like that, or what I should do in life, I have committed it to the Lord, because He tells us, doesn't He, to talk to Him, and if we like wisdom, to ask of Him. And when my first job came along, it was, they said at college, don't apply for Middlesex because you won't get in there because it's too popular. So what did I do? Because I lived there, I applied for Middlesex. and I was going on a camping holiday. And lo and behold, I got an interview. But when was the interview? When the camping holiday was on. So I wrote to them and said, I'm awfully sorry, but I can't go to the interview because I'm on a camping holiday, a Christian camping holiday, and I'm looking after the children. And they wrote back and said, don't worry, you've got the job, and this is the school you're at. The second job I went to was we moved down from London down to Tewkesbury. And I went for the interview. And the day before I went for the interview, a new governor was appointed that was a Christian. And he told me afterwards that they had said they didn't necessarily want a Christian. And he told them, well, if the Christian is a true Christian, they'd be conscientious. So they appointed me. Again, God had gone before, and that was the job. When I came up here, they had to do a, what would you call it, a presentation to all the people. So the presentation was a secondary education in Norfolk. Now I lived in Tewkesbury, Gloucestershire. I didn't know anything about it. What happened? My nephew was going to go to the secondary school, and within that week, he'd received all the papers about education in secondary education, and I got the job. God overrules. He goes before. Another instance, because I did lots of work with young people, and I was always with the poorer ones. And on this occasion, I was taking a group to the waterways. And when we got there, it said, this station will be closed from, and it was the day before we were due to get there. And over the top of it, it said, cancelled. And over it was, this station will be closed, and it was the day after we went. God had overruled. Another time, we were due to go with a church holiday for the children, and lots of their dads were in prison and things like this. And I knew God wouldn't want me to let them down. But the hall that we'd booked in Bognor suddenly phoned us up and said they weren't covered for insurance to have children of that age camping in their church. And so I thought, what would God want me to do? And so what I did, because I felt it was his will, was I used the money I'd saved for the council taxes to pay what was lacking in the holiday money. And you know, when I came back, I had a letter from the tax office, and that was the exact penny to what I'd had to put for the holiday so that the children would have a holiday away. Another time we were away, and we didn't have a lot of money for the children's because we couldn't charge them very much. And a fish and chip van broke down just near us, and so we were able to feed he said, would you like these fish and chips? Because I can't use them now because my van's broken down. So the children had a meal that evening that was much nicer than the one we were going to prepare. I was going to Germany on teaching at a conference, and I had to get to Hanover, and I went by coach, and then from Hanover I had to get a train to this little tiny village, and I didn't know any German, but I bought a German book, and I opened it up, and what did it have? A picture of the rail network to Bad Hatzburg, and consequently I got in the right end of the train because it parted, because God had provided, the information. He always steps in. I mean, yeah, sometimes times are hard, sometimes difficult. My mum was blinded by a stroke. She had a leg amputated, and I used to sleep with her. But every time I needed an extra sleep, she slept through the night, and I had it. He's with us in hard times as well as good times. I've had breast cancer, but the Lord cured it. He doesn't always, but he did in my instance. God knows everything about us, and he loves us, and he's always faithful. I'd like to end with, because of the Lord's great love, we're not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion. Therefore I will wait for him.